Hello everyone, welcome to the Rokani Media Football. Hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are. Smash like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, we are powered by Think Landscaping, right? And you might be asking yourself, who are these? And let me obviously introduce them to you, to your knowledge. Now, these are designers, planners, and transformers. They design, plan, and maintain stunning outdoor spaces that add value, beauty, and function to your property. You understand? They do that to gardens, compounds, green spaces, and they also maintain your compounds in there for you. So that is, this is what we call, they think landscaping, and they do the needful. The way you see how those designs are really looking, that's how exactly they will come in through and obviously put this into your compound. So please call them on +256 765 280 470. Or WhatsApp them on +256 703 004 168. As you see them there, as you see those numbers onto the screen, you can as well talk to them and they will bring you the best of the best. So that is Think Landscaping. If you have a compound, they can come and design it for you. So they are really good at that, and they will deliver to the fullest. And me here, I don't recommend people that are not really worth it. You understand? So that is it, and let's head into our story. As Arsenal have gone ahead to obviously submit a bid for Ayyoub Bouaddi. It's called Bouaddi. I need to... Guys, these names, I need to learn how to pronounce these names. But I'm going to call him Ayyoub. Ayyoub is one of those players that Arsenal has been looking at for some time. And we're obviously going to be breaking that down. We're also going to be talking about Christensen at Barcelona. They are planning to obviously give him a new contract in there for you. So thank you for watching in through, and you guys have obviously gone ahead to make us great. You're subscribing to this channel every other day that really passes by, and I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the energy. I'm giving you positive energy, and you're reciprocating it with some good positive energy. I love that, and I promise not to forsake you in any way. Now, let's obviously start it off with this Ayyoub story. We've been told by Fabrice Hawkins, tier 1 journalist who works for the RMC Sport, on 5th of December 2025, that Arsenal are pushing hard to sign Ayyoub, who is 18 years of age, as early as in January. Andre Bata has already spoken to the player's entourage. Lille want to extend Ayyoub's contract and look to sell him for more than 50 million euros next summer. That is it. So, Ayyoub, Arsenal's interest in Ayyoub has been there for some time. You understand? And let no one tell you that they've just gone ahead to obviously register interest in the player right about now. The interest has been there. And Ayyoub is a midfielder, and Arsenal look like they're looking in for a midfielder. Now, Africa Foot have come up and obviously told us the following: that Arsenal reportedly went ahead to obviously submit a bid for this guy. And they've told us that Arsenal have reportedly seen, not really. All right. All I want to bring to you here is something different. Arsenal went ahead and obviously put in a bid, right? And all right. They've told us that Arsenal have reportedly seen a bid of 60 million euros for Ayyoub rejected by Lille. The 18-year-old midfielder is understood to be a priority target, but Lille are said to value him at around 70 million euros and are currently unwilling to sell. So, it shows you that prices can change. They fluctuate. Now, in January, he was valued at 50 million euros, and they were like, we're obviously going to add him a new contract. And after adding him a new contract, we will see Ayyoub go for 60 or 70. And indeed, it has going to work out well for them because they succeeded in extending his contract in the January transfer window. And he obviously found himself renewing the contract on the 5th of December 2025. And his contract runs until 2029 with 3 years left on his contract. That's why they're like, we no longer want 50 million euros, right? The 60 has been turned down, and they've told Arsenal, add on more 10. We are waiting to see whether Arsenal will obviously go ahead to obviously add on more 10. But you guys will be asking me that, who is Ayyoub? Ayyoub Bouaddi is 18 years of age and is turning 19 in October 2nd this year. 1.8 meters tall, and he was born in France, but he plays for Morocco. And if at all you're going to watch the World Cup, you're obviously going to enjoy this guy in the midfield of Morocco. He's a midfielder. He can play as a CDM and he can play as a number 8. And it looks like nowadays you have no way in modern football, if at all you can only play as a 6. You need to be able to play as a 6 and an 8. And this is what this guy really has. He can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. And if you saw Guendouzi at Arsenal and how he used to play, obviously, this guy plays like Guendouzi in there for you. So, I just love him, you know. And I've been watching some League One games before the season came to an end. And he's not an injury-prone player. He played 30 games in the season of the League One. 0 goals, 1 assist. And him being a CDM, I don't want to know more about what he does in the forward area, provided he shields the back four and connects the midfield to the attack. UEFA Europa League, he played 10 games, 0 goals and 0 assists. He has also featured in the Champions League in the season of 2024-2025. He played 9 games and 1 assist. Now, that means he played in the UEFA Champions League when he is 16 years of age. Don't you recognize how special this boy is? You know, he's a talent to reckon with. I tell you, he's a talent to reckon with. Now, why is it that Arsenal have gone ahead to obviously go hard on this player and they wanted to obviously sign him? You know, tactical and defensive, positional IQ. He reads the game exceptionally well, often anticipating danger early to make crucial interceptions, meaning that his IQ and game reading is really great. And this is the best attribute for number 6 everywhere in the world. You need to be able to read the mind of your opponent before he obviously reacts, you know. Then single pivot capability, possesses the composure and tactical discipline to operate as a lone defensive midfielder. By the way, in the modern world, to find a player who can play as a CDM single-handedly and do that fully alone, it's not really everywhere. It's really very scarce. So if this guy is one who can really play as a CDM in there for you, then good to go in there for you. Then ball winning, uses his long legs and lean athletic frame effectively to tackle and dispossess opponents. You've heard it very well. So you tackle and dispossess opponents because of his long legs, Patrick Vieira style, right? Technical, press resistance. He's a press resistant player, highly comfortable retaining possession and distributing the ball under heavy pressure, meaning that in the game of PSG would have gone ahead to be a solution, because you would have gone ahead to use him as a reference point as you see what PSG really uses with Vitinha, because Vitinha is one of the press-resistant players in there for you. Dribbling and carrying, very skilled on the ball, adept at driving past the first line of defense and transitioning play from deep. Now, do you know the first line of defense? It's the forwards. For example, if your team is playing a 4-3-3, the first three people to press is the first line of defense, meaning that he is good at driving past the first line of defense. That is how good he is. So the guy is really an elite player, I tell you. So that's why the club of Arsenal really wanted to obviously get in this guy, I tell you. So as it stands, we're here to obviously let you know that the club of Arsenal has gone ahead to put in a bid and it has been rejected. Looking through the World Cup squad of Morocco, Ayyoub is among, and I'll be eagerly waiting to see him in the World Cup, as I know Morocco will get out of the group stages. That is it. And good enough, when you look at Morocco and the World Cup, obviously, they've gone ahead to obviously put out a very huge showcase. And you can check out him tomorrow. They are playing Norway. That is it. And that will be really a very good game to watch, 22 hours in there for you. And they open up their group. They're in a group with Brazil. And they open up with Brazil on the 14th of June. So 3 days later, after the World Cup starts, we might see Ayyoub in the midfield, taking on Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes. Won't that be a good test for him, to obviously continue to send a message to Arsenal, the Arsenal fraternity, that please, however much you are less by 10 million euros to bring me in, I'm really exceptional. And never doubt and rebut. That is it. On what he did, if he's carrying a 60 million euro bid for this player in France, there has to be something special on this young lad, I tell you. Because all the players that he brought in through that we never knew went ahead to really perform well at Arsenal. One of those, Mosquera, the other one is Hincapie. And Arsenal is losing its touch with African players. Arsenal has been a team that has hugely gone ahead to interact so much with what we call the African players. As we speak right now, does Arsenal have an African player? Does Arsenal have an African player? Because, let's count. Raya Kepa Arrizabalaga, no African player. Julian Timber, Ben White, no African player. Hincapie. Hincapie and Hincapie and Ricardo Carafiori, Lewis Kelly, no African player. Saliba, Mosquera, Big Gabi, no African player. Rice, Nogard, Zubimendi, Mikel Merino, no African player. Odegaard, Kai Havertz, no African player. Saka, Madueke, no African player. Trossard, Eze, Martinelli, no African player, right? Gyökeres, Gabriel Jesus, no African player. Meaning that the last African player to feature for the club of Arsenal was Thomas Partey, right? So, as it stands right now, if you know Arsenal and African players, there is no way you can really have a squad of Arsenal with no African players. If you saw what exactly happened in African countries when Arsenal lifted the Premier League, the happiness, there is no way you can assure people that Arsenal no longer has an African player. It's a must for Arsenal to bring in an African player. That is it. Because Africa loves them a lot and they need to be having an attachment to Africa. I know they are obviously working on it, and I think it was their first Premier League team that embraced having very many Africans, in a single squad. I remember they had Kolo Toure, Lolen Maya, Nwankwo Kanu. That was a time, Arsene Wenger, 2000, 2001, 2002, right? 2003, 2004, you understand? Then he went ahead to obviously get in other African players. There was a time he had a Boe, Emmanuel Shea Adebayo. Who else? Arsenal has had Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Arsenal has had Nicolas Pepe. Arsenal has had Thomas Partey. Arsenal has had which other African players? Arsenal has really gone ahead, obviously have El Nini from Egypt. So Arsenal has gone ahead to obviously have a good crop of African players. You understand? Javinho, Ivory Coast. You remember all those players. So Arsenal, in this Mikel Arteta era, has lost the touch or has lost its touch to Africanicity. And I think it's going to be intentional that they have to bring in an African player. It's a must. It's something that I'm really feeling that 60 million euros or 70 million euros, you are not far apart from the amount of money they're supposed to pay to get in maybe a Sandro Tonali in there for you, that Arsenal really needs that midfield. But if they are saying we are going in for Ayyoub, Bouaddi, it means that they want to obviously get their touch back to Africanicity. And I won't be shocked if at all Arsenal goes in for Diomande and they're like, we are going hard at him. I won't be shocked. That is it, because they need to reward Africa. And Africa is one of their hugest markets where they sell most of their merchandise in there for you. So that's all about a club known as Arsenal, and they are coming hard at this deal. So we wait and see whether Ayyoub, Bouaddi will obviously cross to Arsenal. But the first bid has been rejected, 60 million euros. And they're like, they want 80 million euros indeed. So that is it for the side of Arsenal and Ayyoub in there for you. So we head to Christensen in there for you, a player that was at Chelsea. That's when I first got to know about his existence. I had never even heard of him, but well scouted by Chelsea, though he left as a free agent in a season where he looked really very good and went to Barcelona. And at Sport have told us that Barcelona have presented their official contract renewal offer to Andreas Christensen. It's a one-year contract with a salary reduction and an optional extension. The decision is now in the player's hands. Now, Barcelona is having problems, and that's why you see to it that they are trying to do the needful and obviously put out a lot to see to it that obviously keep their players. Now, Christensen is a very good player, right? And many do love him, right? But it will depend on to what the club of Arsenal is really having onto the table. You understand? It will really depend on to what the club of Barcelona is representing and the options they really do have. So, because nowadays, players all about money. I've gone ahead to see Rio Ferdinand say that if Rio Ferdinand regrets Ferdinand is regretting the amount of money he missed out, because they had given him a very huge offer to go to China and was like, the Premier League is the best league in the world. Where am I going? But he said he regrets not doing that. That is it. So, your thoughts on Ayyoub, Bouaddi, 60 million bid from Arsenal, rejected? I welcome in the comment section below. And we wait to see how things really pan out. But Christensen and Barcelona, what do you make about it? Bye.